Okay, welcome back. I haven't done anything since the last video, just sat down. And we're going to go through some of this code and just kind of think about how we're going to be re-architecting it using our new ideas. So let's jump right back in. So we've got these takeaways. We're adding this. We're keeping these, and we'll just say like exactly how they are. We're implementing the watch attributes where we want to build this eventually, and we want to have these guidelines. Okay, so first let's see if there's any changes that we want to undo that we made. I think this is fine because it'll give us an example to go off of. That's fine. This, I think, it's mostly fine, but I want to get rid of this thing because we decided not to do that. Okay, so we'll go here, we'll go there, we'll delete that. So how many data location keys do we have that are looking for, so we'll use a regular expression, and we'll do like a dot star non-greedy to a quote to a real dot to an end quote. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go through 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we have 5 of these. I think we could just default to something. So let's look inside of our output.js. So actually, okay, let's write a list of to-dos first, so we don't get carried away. So we'll go to-dos.text. Okay, so the first thing I want to do, just as like a quick win, is location keys should default to inner text on the current element. Okay, so let's, we'll save that. Let's go into output.js. We've got this location key. We're going to say the selector, so this is where we get the data for the selector. We're going to say if the selector is this, then use the current element. So I'm going to say if there's no selector, or that, or it's equal to that, then use the current element. Okay, so that's only going to be true if when we split on this. So let's just prove that. So if we have an empty string and we split on an empty space, it should just return an empty string. No. Oh yes, it returns, yeah, okay. So the selector, so then what would that be equal to? I guess just undefined, right? So if we do this, we do that, selector is going to be false, false, and element attribute is going to be undefined. Okay. And then here, so we're returning the element attribute. Yep, okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay, so we did that already. Awesome. Now let's get to the hard stuff. Okay, so actually, let's find all these. So yeah, these all look good. So we'll find all of them. We'll go to the end of the line. I guess we'll do it one at a time, actually. Yeah, we'll just do it one at a time, just to make sure there's not a space at the end of the line or anything. So we're going to delete that. We're going to delete that. I'm going to delete, I'm going to delete that. We're going to delete that. And we're going to delete that. Okay, so now let's go in here and we will not commit this stuff yet. Silly. Okay, so we got that. We added some docs to that. We did whatever with that. Where, oh, it's in, sorry, it's in a different library. Okay, so let's say changed location attributes to remove like that. I don't know. I mean, I don't care. It's not very descriptive, but it's fine. Okay, so we'll do that, and then let's go in our data.js, and we'll say like, we'll just do the defaults commit message for that. And then for input.js, we don't have that yet. And what about our output.js? Why didn't that pop up? Okay, so selector defaults to current element if no argument provided. Okay, cool. So we've got one thing done, one thing off of our plate, which we weren't planning on doing, but it just popped into my head. Okay, so the next thing is we could do the input. So let's write that down. Data I input. It's going to be debounced. So on input change sync value of input to closest data O key. Okay, so that's a good specification for that. Let's close out of like a bunch of this other stuff. We'll close out of that, close out of this for now, close out of this, close out of this, close out of this, close out of this, we'll close out of this, close out of this. Okay, so this is one thing. We're going to don't convert between cases. I like that one because that's pretty simple. I think I can get that all done pretty quickly. Okay. Okay, data w and data dash w dash key dash star attributes. So these are going to be like on page load, and on data sync. We're going to do a couple things. So we're going to get the corresponding data, or we'll just say like the matching data dash w dash key dash star attribute, we're going to call the function. It names, we're going to pass in the current element, the new value, followed by any followed by so the thing I'm worried about right now is so we had this example. I should have kept the example up. So we have this revisions example. So I'm worried about how to parse this, to be honest, because so we could just say, okay, each of these functions can only take one argument, but I don't like that limitation. I like them being able to take an unlimited number of arguments. So in that case, we're going to have to parse this differently than we have with our other stuff. And that's really annoying. So I guess the other thing we could do is like have it be space separated and have this just kind of like stand in. I guess we don't need this kind of template anymore because we know what it's going to output by the default value we're putting in there, right? So we're kind of giving ourselves like a heads up there. So we don't need this to like mimic that. So we could just say like, you know, hours, minutes, right? That's fine. I kind of like that. I mean, we could even not pass in any argument right now. I would actually be fine with that too. So let's just do that. Okay. Followed by the rest by any arguments in the data W key value. Okay, then the next thing that we want to do is, let's not, okay, we already did that. We're going to write all of these things. So I guess it would be like get revisions code working. So we're going to add this function. We're going to add this function. And we're going to add this function. And then move all data O attributes to top level components. And we'll say and data L attributes. Okay. So we'll say on data sync first, and then we'll say like make this work on page load also. Okay. Just to like split up the task a little bit. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to set a timer. I'm going to say 40 minutes. And I'm not going to work past that because, I want to have a little break, do some other stuff. Okay, so let's get as much of this as we can done. So first of all, we want to add this attribute. We're going to add this to the input library. So let's go into input.js. We have fill watcher elements with data. So that's more this stuff. And I don't know if we want this to be a thing. I don't know if we want that to be a thing that input.js is responsible for. I'm not sure yet, but we're not on that yet. So what do we want? We have init input component watcher. That sounds right. What does that do? Init input component watcher. Oh, okay. Okay. So this is the inline edit thing. So we're going to call this what it is, which is like data sync component watcher. And then we're going to have this be data sync data sync. Okay. So now that makes more sense. And we'll delete this for now because we're not going to work on that yet. Okay, so we've got these ones. This is going to be something that's very similar to the input choice. So we're going to say init input input watcher. I know, it's horrible, but we're just going to do it for now. Maybe we'll rename it later. So we have the choice watcher. Let's just copy this code. Or actually, we can copy this whole file. And we'll just rename it slightly. Okay, so we're not going to need this. We're not going to need, well, we might need that temporarily. So I don't know, we'll leave it in here. So what do we want to do? Well, we want to watch for when the input event is fired. So let's look up input event. And it bubbles, so that's good. So that means we can attach, yeah, so let's do our normal thing where we kind of like spec out this function first. Okay, so attach a, what is it called? Is it it's event listener? I forget what it's, event allocation. So I don't know, attach an event listener, whatever. Listener to input elements with data I input. Okay. How about just like listen for an input event on elements. Okay. When, or we'll say get the value of the input Look for the closest, it's very similar, I'm just like looking down here. Look for the closest element, or we'll just say closest matching data O key element, and then we'll say, or we'll just say get closest, and we'll say set the value of its key to the input's value. And we'll say debounce this. Okay, so now we have a problem. We don't have a debounce function. So let's go into GitHub. It's not a DOM util, right? It's not a DOM util. It's not something that should be in query.js. It's probably something new. So can we, I don't know. We could just include it from Lodash, right? Lodash. You know what there was? There was this this cool library that had all these functions you could copy. Or yeah, stars. No, I didn't save it. Are you serious? I think I saved it. No, it would have been here already. How about useful JavaScript functions? I don't think it's gonna pop up. Okay, I don't know, okay. How about GitHub? And we'll say like tiny useful JavaScript functions. Okay, and let's just put in like debounce. No timing. Okay, what would it be under? Utilities, control flow, not UI. It's not really control flow. This is like how the data is handled, I think. I think it's like events, right? Okay. JavaScript Debounce. Simple. Ugh. I mean, I really don't want to do this. I would rather just import it from Lodash. So how about like Lodash single function? Okay. Let's try it. So this is going to be, I think it is probably just debounce, right? Okay, so we'll just do debounce. Okay, so we're going to go into our input.js library, and we'll do that. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, let's get back to work. So we were installing Lodash, so we installed the debounce library, and then this guy says we can just do this. And this is going to be debounce. Debounce. Okay, so I think that's it. So we'll do this first. And we're going to be watching for this. And we're going to get the event back. So we'll have the current element, and we're going to want to debounce this whole thing. Okay, so I think the idea here, okay, let's look up debounce. I'm pretty sure I know how to do it. We just pass it a function, and then it's going to give us a debounce function back. But yeah, okay. We also want weight is 0, and leading is false until the next tick. Okay. So we want to have a function so we can do like debounced input watcher, and then we'll have function input watcher, and then we'll do that. Then we'll do this, and then we'll do debounce, and then we'll do input watcher in here. And then this should get the event, I believe, right? Options. Okay, and let's make this like 100 milliseconds. I don't know, it could be like 200. That's fine too. And then, so we're going to do this. We can remove that. So we're going to get the value of the input. So we're going to say new value, and we're going to do event current target value, get the closest matching oh wait, okay. So let's say get the key name, get the new value of the input, get the key name inside the attribute. So now we're going to have key name, and that's going to be event current target get attribute and like that. And then we're going to yeah, we're going to write this with dashes, so we're not going to convert it. So we're going to get the closest, so we're going to do event current target. So we'll say target element, or we can say like data output element. So we're going to do closest on this, and we're going to have data dash o dash key dash, and then we're going to have a plus equal to the key name, and then set the value of its key to the inputs value. Set attribute and we'll say like form the attribute name from the key name, which is pretty easy. So that's just going to be this plus the key name. And then we can use this inside of here. And then we can reuse this here. And we're going to set it to the new value. And I guess we could do this in order, right? So and 5. Okay, so we get, so first, I guess this is actually the first one. Jeez. Jeez. Do I have a count from, only a count from 1. Okay, so can't do this all at once. Okay, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we're going to listen for an input event on these types of elements. This is going to pass the event to, let me just make sure I have the syntax for this right. Debounce, yeah, okay. So this is going to pass the event here. We're going to get the current target, get its attribute, get its I input attribute, which is going to be equal to the key name we're going to look up. We're going to add that to this in order to form the output key name. We're going to get the data, the output element by looking up the closest element that has this attribute. So we'll just form that into a selector. And then we'll get the value of the input, the current value of the input. And then we're going to set the new value equal to that. Yeah, I think that's great. I think that's fine. So I guess the thing to do is to see if it works. So if I go into the bundles code and I look up data I input, and we have the count here, so we can remove these. So we have this and this, so this should go up to these and fill those in. Okay, so let's refresh this. It looks good. Let's open this. That's not syncing. That's weird. Let's try 2, 2. That's not syncing again. Well, who cares for now, right? We're testing something else. So we'll go in here. We just set this to 3. So what happened? That's weird. Isn't that weird? So I put in 5 there. I feel like it should just update right away. Number of milliseconds to delay, and I'm only delaying it 200. Okay, so I don't know what's going on here. Let's try just passing in the plain input watcher and see if it improves. Oh, you know what it is? I'm being really, 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 really stupid. I didn't use the right event. Yep. Okay, so now it's updating right away. Let's put the debounced one back in. It should still look like it's updating pretty much right away. But now if I do like this, so I guess like what we're trying to figure out is, well, so now I'm thinking about the timing. So if I do like 23, that appears pretty fast, right? But if I'm typing in like, a novel, right? So if I'm like, the book is awesome, that's a pretty good timeout, right? But I want to make sure that I'm never able to like type a bunch of stuff and then click the save button before it's saved, right? So that's super important. So I think 200 is fine. I guess the only problem is like, yeah, maybe we don't debounce it because someone could do this and then press enter. And then that would save it. And if this data hasn't updated yet, that's going to be a problem. So let's not debounce it, actually. So let's just put all this stuff in here. I think yeah, I know. I just like spent so much time looking up this debounce function. At least we know how to get it now. Um, so yeah, we'll uninstall this for now. Okay, so yeah, we know how to get it now. Um, what did I do? I did something wrong. Module build failed. Oh, okay. Okay, so if I go into here, if I type in like 32222, it's updating right away. I don't know. I don't really see a problem with that. Because most cases it's not going to be a lot of stuff, right? Otherwise you're going to use the location attribute. Okay, so we're almost done with this. Got 11 minutes left. So let's say this is done. Oh, there's a problem. There's a problem. So that we didn't think about. So when we're syncing the data, it's going to sync to these, but it's not going to sync to the input. That's a problem. Okay, so we need to let's we decided against this. So let's remove that. Okay, so we got this part. And we're gonna go into input.js. Okay, so we're gonna say added data I input that syncs to closest output data. Okay, cool. So now we got to do the second step, which is sync data to data I input values. Okay, so we have this we have the sync data thing. So this part's fine, this part's fine. So now we're looping through the flat data. So we're also going to want to search for something else, which is, we'll say let okay, we'll just do comma. Okay, so we'll just say input attribute. And we'll say it's data I input matching input selector. So we're just going to do the whole selector here. So this is going to equal the dash case key name. So I'm going to do it old school. Okay, so matching, and we're just going to put it on straight like that. Okay, so now we've got the matching input selector. Here we see, oh, is it a plain attribute? How do we tell that? Because we see, okay, does it match the plain attribute? Okay, so I like it. I think it should do all of these. Okay, so we do is plain attribute, is location attribute, and is input attribute. And then let's put this in here. Man, that's annoying. It's just, it's different enough. It's different enough. Okay, cool. Okay, I'm almost done with my time here. I'm just going to finish up this task. Okay, so, geez. I guess, okay, let's leave it how it, oh wait, no, I do want all this stuff. Let's leave that, and if it's an input attribute, it's going to have that, it's going to, matching element, and we're going to do a matches on it. Okay, we'll do input selector. That's a better name for it. Okay, so input selector. Now we're going to do matches. And just so we're doing all of these the same, let's call this input attribute selector. Where am I using this? Plain attribute. So I'm using it here, and I'm using it to set the attribute and to get the attribute. Oh, that's annoying. Okay, so input attribute selector, and then it's got to match this one. That's fine that I'm doing that one slightly differently, because I'm using this stuff for other stuff. It's annoying, but it's fine. It's fine. Okay, so we've got the input attribute selector. We do it that way. We see if it matches here. We have, oh, I didn't change this one. So this has to have that attribute name in order to be a location attribute. And then if it is an input attribute, we'll say type here, and we'll just make them all similar, right? So then I input feedback, and this is going to be an input element, and we'll just say like type text. And so if it's an input attribute, so we get the attribute value from the matching element, and we pass that in. Set location key. So where is, this is in the output.js. Why do I need the, oh, it's the location string. Let's call it that. Location string. That's so much nicer. Okay, so that's so much less confusing. Okay, so, and then we're going to, if it's an input attribute, we want to set the value of this element. So we want to get matching attribute dot value equal to the value to set. Okay, my timer just went off. So this is a perfect time. So value to set is gonna be that. Okay, so that that works, I think. So this is like getting really out of hand, this function. I want to split it up a little bit. But basically all we're doing is we're getting the flat data. We're looping through each key in the flat data. We're seeing if that key in the flat data matches a series of elements that either have data O keys that have the same key, data L keys that have the same key, or data input elements that have the same key. And then, so it's doing that by assembling this selector string, finding all the matching elements, adding the current element, adding the target element to this array of matching elements if it matches too, looping through all of the matching elements, getting the value to set, which is, I think, something we can get out here. We're seeing, okay, is it a plain attribute? Is it a location attribute? Is it an input attribute? If it's a plain attribute, set that attribute, boom, you're done. If it's a location attribute, yeah. Doing this check twice is kind of annoying. I think I would prefer a different approach. I would prefer it, I think, to like find these matches separately and then set them, because this is like a loop in a loop, and that's annoying. But I don't know. It's fine for now. It's not ideal. It's not ideal, but it's fine for now. So yeah, so if it's a plain object, if it's a location attribute, use set location key value on the element using the location string and the value to set. And if it's an input value, then just set the value of the element to the value to set. Okay, so I think, that should work. So now let's see. So that would mean if I refresh this and I click this, yep, now it's syncing again. And if I save these, yeah, it works. Awesome. Oops. Because I didn't click the save button, I clicked in between. That's so annoying. That might be something I have to look into fixing. Okay, so, yep, this all looks good. What do we do here? Syncing data to data I input elements. Okay, perfect. So we're done for now. I will be on later, and we'll go through the rest of these to-dos and finish them all up. For now, I'll just check off this to-do, and I'll see you next time. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.